So, using other people's material in your YouTube videos can potentially get you sued. Awesome. Let's find out more. Okay, I'm guilty of sensationalism in that opening blurb, but it's not altogether wrong to say that using material created by someone else in one of your videos on YouTube or elsewhere can result in legal action given a particular series of events. So, what I'm here to talk about today is the allowance for what's called fair use in the Digital Millennium Copyright Act of 1998, or just the DMCA. In essence, the act was signed into law in order to combine a pair of World Intellectual Property Organization treaties and to clear up a few issues that had been brought up about copyright legislation before the act was ratified. While the DMCA is made up of 5 titles, for the purpose of this video, we'll be focusing on one particular title, which is Title 1. This covers the implementation of the WIPO treaties. The pertinent part of this portion of the DMCA reads as follows. Quote, "The public will have the continued ability to make fair use of copyrighted works. Since copying of a work may be fair use under appropriate circumstances, Section 1201 does not prohibit the act of circumventing a technological measure that prevents copying." End quote. So essentially, this just ensures that fair use is still considered a legitimate means of copyrighted material, guaranteeing your right to copy material so long as you are provided access to it and to use it in a limited fashion for your own purposes. Since YouTube is a public forum and it ought reasonably to be known by content creators that others will have access to their videos and content in general, this means that YouTube videos are included under copyright law and fair use. But what exactly constitutes fair use, you ask? Well, that's a good question, and one that you're going to need to know the answer to in the event that you want to borrow from the works of others to augment your own content. To answer your question, I would direct you to Section 107 of the Copyright Act. In regards to fair use, Section 107 states that, quote, "Notwithstanding the provisions of Sections 106 and 106A, the fair use of a copyrighted work, including such use by reproduction in copies of phonorecords, or by any other means specified by that section, for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, including multiple copies for classroom use, scholarship, or research, it is not an infringement of copyright." In determining whether the use made of a work in any particular case is a fair use, the factors to be considered shall include 1. The purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is of a commercial nature or is for non-profit educational purposes. 2. The nature of the copyrighted work. 3. The amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. And 4. The effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. The fact that a work is unpublished shall not itself bar a finding of fair use if such finding is made upon consideration of all the above factors. End quote. Alright, so that's a lot of legal speak, and I'm betting that on its face, this information isn't extremely helpful when you have to ask yourself if your borrowing of a particular piece of media will constitute a fair use of that content. So, I'm going to break this down for you with the help of the United States Copyright Office, a department of the Library of Congress. So, as for bullet point numero uno, when you submit a fair use claim, the court, be it a judge or jury presiding over the case, will look at how you've used the copyright content. Now, while non-profit uses of copyrighted material are the most likely to be seen as fair use, commercial applications of copyrighted material are not automatically thrown out as fair use claims. The focus here is if your use of the material can be deemed transformative, which is fancy speak for basically asking if how you used the work changed its meaning in some way, or if you gave new purpose or added something significant to the original content. If you just mirror someone's video or song without changing anything, that's not going to be defensible as a fair use claim. However, if you're critiquing something, providing commentary on it, or using it in an educational or constructive manner, your fair use claim is much more likely to be successful. Second on the docket, we have the nature of the copyrighted work rather than how it is being used. Basically, the first point asks what your material ultimately becomes, and this point asks what the copyrighted material was originally. Put as simply as possible, if you're ripping off a stage play, movie, or a song, something of a primarily creative, unique nature, then you're probably going to be shit out of luck in your hearing. However, if you're using something that is primarily factual, let's say, for example, a news item or technical article in an industry journal, then you're much more likely to see a judgment in your favor. A lot of today's YouTube content blurs this line as it brings into question what exactly constitutes as news reporting and factual, but the basis is essentially between creative works and realistic works. Third to be heard, we have the size of the copyrighted work used in relation to its original scope. The more material you borrow, and the more important that section of the material is to the whole, the less likely you'll be to have a judge view your fair use claim as valid. One example I've heard used is that if you were to use the opening guitar riff from the Rolling Stones' Satisfaction, you'd be less likely to file a successful fair use claim than if you borrow a simple, inconsequential chord progression from later in the song. Basically, don't take the heart of the material, and don't take too much material, and you'll be fine on factor number 3. Fourth and last is how your use affects the originator of the work. In layman's terms, if your use of a copying of something bumps off the originator from the marketplace, then you're more than likely going to see your fair use appeal thrown in the trash. This is the kind of thing that makes it copyright infringement to make copies of and then sell, or in another significant manner, distribute albums released by a recording artist. Basically, if people are coming to you for that material rather than the person that created it, you're harming the market for that product and not within the bounds of fair use protection. Now, this video was inspired by, or at least the sequence of events that led to me creating this video were kicked off by The Bible Reloaded's ongoing issues with the Cristiano Film Group and 5 and 2 Productions over false DMCA claims filed against TBR. TBR is suing the Cristiano Film Group for blatant abuse of copyright laws, and they have a Kickstarter going to help raise the funds necessary to conduct their civil case. Well, that whole issue, it didn't get a universally supportive reception, with people crying foul either from the camps that oppose the existence of a government and, based on that principle, oppose any resource or system that is of the government, and also by people who just support the Cristiano Film Group for whatever their reasons may be, ranging from wanting to support another religious bunch of people with a similar ideology, or just because they think, for some reason, that the claims filed against the Bible Reloaded were valid. I've put a link in the description to take you to TBR's original video, outlining their current struggles with the false DMCA claims, and hopefully this video of mine will help you better understand exactly what it is that they're fighting back against, and why they appear to have a case in that matter. Even if you don't want to get involved with the TBR saga, I hope that this video prepared you to better navigate the world of being a content creator here on YouTube, and that in the event that you are faced with a frivolous copyright claim, that you will know what factors to look at when deciding whether or not to dispute the claims against you. I must note, however, that this does not constitute individual legal advice, but rather just a brief overview of the pertinent copyright laws. If you would like more information, I have left links to the United States Copyright Office's primer on fair use and to the summary of the DMCA of 1998 in the description of this video. As per usual, please give this video a thumbs up or thumbs down, and leave a comment letting me know what you liked or didn't like about the video, or if you have any questions I may be able to answer for you. If you would like to keep up to date regarding my content, hit the big red subscribe button down below and follow me on Twitter for a mix of video links and shitposting hilariousness. Thanks everyone!